Chris Spatola. I'm Rich Hollenberg. Baylor in their home whites, West Virginia in their road blues with the gold trim. And we are ready to go in another Big 12 battle on a Monday night. Opening tip goes to Jalen Bridges, who's playing against his team, the West Virginia Mountaineers.
Rich, Baylor has the most efficient offense in the nation, and it starts with this trio. They have the best offensive trio, this backcourt.
There's L.J. Cryer, 4 and white, one of those three-headed monsters. Flo Thamba, most wins in a Big 12 play in a Baylor career. That one goes out of bounds. It's going to stay Baylor basketball.
And that's one of the things when you try to be aggressive with these guards, particularly out of ball screens, you can get strung out. These guards are very dynamic with their dribble, and those bigs are very good at rim running like Flo Thamba just did there.
Number 10 in white, Adam Flagler, coming off a 28-point effort. He's another one. And there's the first three of the game by L.J. Cryer. 44% of Baylor's shots on the year are threes. It's the highest volume of threes in the conference. Good hands up the line by Bridges. Keedy Johnson, first shot by the Mountaineers off the mark. And Jimmy Bell gets the rebound. Goes up, Thamba the foul, and Jimmy Bell Jr. will go to the line. Thamba playing in his 142nd game. That's most in Baylor history. And less than a minute into the game, Chris, we have our first foul. These teams combined for 69 free throws the last time they met.
That's how West Virginia plays. You know, they were in a war 2 games ago against Iowa State. I think it was a game that affected both West Virginia in their game against Texas and Iowa State in their game against Oklahoma State. They're a physical defensive team.
Bell goes 1 for 2. Points on the board for the Mountaineers, who are in the midst of playing their first time ever 3 straight top 11 teams. That's life in the Big 12 for you. Here's Keontae George, the fabulous freshman. Thamba. Good hands by Emmett Matthews, forcing the turnover. Now Keedy Johnson, 3 times, scored 20 points in Big 12 play. Matthews, hammer pass. And Trey Mitchell off the mark on that 3-ball attempt. Here comes Keontae George, the leading scorer as a freshman, averaging just under 17 a game, and that number improves to 19 in Big 12 play.
And any of those 3 guards can bring up the basketball. They all can initiate offense. Look how aggressive West Virginia's being.
That one thrown out of bounds over the outreached hands of L.J. Cryer.
And that's 2 turnovers out of the ball screen trap. West Virginia, they are trapping these ball screens. There's the last one. Keontae George gets stood up, a little bit of a panic, and it creates a scramble that Baylor can't really get themselves out of. And then another turnover on that last possession.
Well, we saw Bob Huggins and his coaching staff drilling that kind of defense into the heads of these Mountaineers at shoot-around earlier today. Eric Stevenson's first shot, way off the mark. Another rebound for Keontae George. Baylor comes in, winners of 9 of their last 10. Second place in the Big 12 and a foul on the floor. Well, Bob Huggins' team still favorable in terms of making the big dance. So says our resident bracketologist, Joe Lenardi. Today, he has them as a number 10 seed. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think they played a very good non-conference. In some of those games, like the Pitt win in their second game of the season, looks a lot better now than it did when they played them. Pitt obviously tied at the top of the ACC with Virginia. The Purdue loss doesn't hurt them. You know, they played a very good non-conference schedule, Rich. And then you're playing a Q1 game almost every time you lace it up in this Big 12 conference.
Yeah, to your point, Bob Huggins and company have 4 quad 1 wins. Tonight would arguably be their biggest win of the year. And Bob Huggins has 102 wins over ranked teams in his Hall of Fame career, 58 of them coming at with West Virginia. And you can make the case that this one would put them firmly off the bubble and in the tournament. With just under a month to go before Selection Sunday.
Well, and they're playing better. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt about that. That Texas loss notwithstanding. And Emmett Matthews is a reason why. You know, it hurt his knee earlier in the year against UAB. I think was dealing with that for a lot of the year, but he's coming off of 2 of his better games of the season in his last 2. It's just a team that can struggle to score, man. They just, you know, at times can really struggle to score.
Sometimes getting their own misses has been West Virginia's best offense. Matthews, the left-hander, off the mark on the first free throw attempt. Normally reliable, 80% from the stripe. To your point, Chris, Emmett averaging 16 a game in his last 2, 12 for 19 from the field. And he goes 1 for 2. Here comes Adam Flagler, picked up by Keedy Johnson. Cryer, catch and release. Too strong, and the rebound to Trey Mitchell.
They love running those guards along the baseline, and they're very good at turning and shooting.
Mitchell along the baseline, no. Here's L.J. Cryer leading the break. Bridges in the open court. Can't get the reverse to go.
I don't know if he had to reverse that. Just go to dunk it. You'll get a foul.
Bridges had a double-double against his former team the last time they met. Bad pass by Matthews, picked off by Keontae George. Four minutes gone by, only 1 field goal in this game. That one picked off by Keedy Johnson. Matthews gives it up and gives it away, but Stevenson gets it back and gets the bucket.
And it's another turnover out of the trap off of the ball screen. It's going to be hard to make that skip pass. And that's one thing, Rich, that West Virginia hasn't done a lot this year. Turning teams over and turning that into offense. We're used to that being a West Virginia staple.
Flagler almost lost it. 10 on the shot clock. Got it back. Off the back iron, another rebound by Keontae George. And he's starting to pile up the rebound numbers tonight.
Baylor, the best offensive rebounding team in the Big 12.
Now with 7 to shoot. Shovel pass inside the Thamba, and the foul's going to go on the floor. A defensive struggle in the first 4 minutes and 55 seconds from Waco. Ninth-ranked Baylor down 1 to this Bear crowd. It's because Jonathan Tchamwa-Tchatchoua is checking in for the first time. Chris, his 4th game back since coming back from an unimaginable injury just 1 year and 1 day ago.
Yeah, it's an incredible story of perseverance, love of the game of basketball. And he, you know, it's been interesting talking to Scott Drew about him coming back, you know.
Mitchell, off the turnover.
4 turnovers already in the early going. You know, it's interesting talking to Scott Drew about Tchamwa-Tchatchoua coming back because they have a talented freshman in Josh Ojanwuna who had been starting to play well. And Scott Drew saying, you know, I don't really know what our ceiling is. You saw it a little bit in the second half against Texas Tech. And I think he believes they can reach that ceiling with Tchamwa-Tchatchoua.
Tchamwa-Tchatchoua scoreless in his last game, that win at TCU, but he did have 7 rebounds. And at Matthews for 3. And all of a sudden, Baylor in a little bit of early trouble in front of the home crowd. A 9-0 West Virginia run. Three subs on the floor for Scott Drew, along with Flagler and George. Flagler, catch and release. And he gets it to go. Call that a shooter's touch.
Yeah, there's a nice little fade off that screen. It's going to be hard to go over the top. You've got to lock and trail because these guards, they want three. They are coming off that to shoot it, and then they will adjust off of the bounce if you defend that.
West Virginia, after an early struggle offensively, is 3 for their last 3. Johnson, spin move. Nice touch by Keedy Johnson, his first bucket.
It's another guy who has had really his best 2-game stretch in a West Virginia uniform. He's very good in their Iowa State game and the Oklahoma game.
Another bucket by Adam Flagler, who can get him in bunches. He had 16 straight last time they played against TCU.
You could tell they were not happy with the performance against Texas. And one of those things was giving up those straight line drives. I mean, Flagler took that from that Bear logo out near midcourt.
And Adam Flagler completes the three-point play. He has 6, and now it's an 11-9 West Virginia lead. Stevenson with Caleb Lohner. Reserve big man on the floor for Baylor guarding him. Stevenson for 3, and that's his specialty. Eric Stevenson in his 151st collegiate game.
He is so streaky, and he's emotional, and sometimes that's a bad combination. Streaky and emotional, not a great combo.
And now a foul's going to be called on Adam Flagler as both he and Keedy Johnson.
But they do feed off each other. Streaky and emotional. This is a guy who went for 34 in that game against Oklahoma. He's 2 of 13 from the field in their last 2, so he runs very hot and cold.
Yeah, he was 1 for 7 in that Texas game, a game they ended up losing by 34. It was the lowest point total they had all season and the most points they allowed all season. That adds up to the worst loss by a West Virginia team in the last 8 years. And you said it, Chris. You could use a number of words to describe what we saw at shoot-around today. Impassioned, intense, spirited, all of that and then some from Bob Huggins and crew. Making sure that type of outcome doesn't happen again tonight in Waco. Good defensive effort by Chumla Chachua. Now Joe Toussaint, instant offense off the bench. This time with the dime to James Okonkwo for 2.
Okonkwo's growth has been exponential. Came to West Virginia a year early. He is starting to really blossom.
And all of a sudden, this West Virginia offense can't miss. 6 for their last 6. But Baylor has an answer, and that's Langston Love with the third 3 of the night for the Bears.
And that's what you can't allow if you're going to trap a ball screen. You can't allow a split. James Okonkwo out of England. And it's, credit to Baylor for the job they did working to get him back, and credit to that young man. I mean, what a tough dude.
Co-defensive player of the year 1 year ago. And now back with his Baylor mates. If you remember, they call him Everyday John for a reason. He brings instant energy. Right now, they need him on the defensive end. West Virginia hot, shooting-wise. With 7 to shoot. Okonkwo doing work in the paint with the left hand.
And they're looking for him. He's really active. He's a little more bouncy than Jimmy Bell, the guy they start at that big position.
There's Jalen Bridges with his first 2. Had 10 points, 11 boards when these teams met a few weeks ago. Here's Joe Toussaint, the Iowa transfer. And a foul called, and we're going the other way. Well, Baylor comes into this contest, Chris. If you follow Ken Pomeroy on his website, kenpom.com, the #1 offense in efficiency. What does that mean?
Well, it could mean a lot for different teams. I mean, in the case of Baylor, they run really good stuff that you ultimately have to switch 1 through 5. Most teams are switching them 1 through 5 now. Their guards are empowered, to use their talents to create for themselves. I think Scott Drew, out of the stuff they run, and they do run really good stuff, gives them a lot of freedom. Their bigs are great screeners and rim runners. And they're the best in the Big 12 at Rich at not turning it over, and they're the best offensive rebounding team, which those two combinations are going to obviously extend possessions. They're just very efficient. And then they have a pro with the guy with the ball now, and Keontae George, who can kind of get them a bucket.
George hasn't scored yet. Here he is with the ball. Gives it up to Langston Love. Short jumper from Love, off the mark. Thamba got the loose ball. And Flo Thamba will go to the line and shoot a pair.
Those guys inside, if it's Thamba, if it's Bridges, if it's Ojanwuna, if it's now Chama Chachua, man, they just do dirty work. They're all over the offensive glass. They run to the rim hard. And it's crazy, too, with Baylor in conference play. They have made more free throws than their opponents have attempted. Baylor's averaging 18 points a game at the foul line in conference play. It's a real supplement to that #1 offense in the country.
Our big ACC Big 12 Super Tuesday doubleheader coming up at 7 Eastern. Duke hosts Notre Dame at Cameron Indoor. Then #5 Kansas takes on Oklahoma State. Should be a great night of hoops tomorrow night on ESPN and the app. Chris Spatola road tripping through the Big 12. You'll be at that game.
I will. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Absolutely. One of the hottest teams certainly in this league in Oklahoma State.
Absolutely. They've won 5 straight to get right back in the conversation. Matthews, elbow J off the mark, and Keontae George, the weak side rebound.
And there was that 1-1-3 that Baylor runs. That's their zone in the half court.
Look at the ball movement by the Bears. George off to the right, and Stevenson corrals it for the Mountaineers. West Virginia the lead. Toussaint can't add to it. West Virginia, 7 of their last 9 from the field. When these two teams first met in Morgantown in the second half, it was 51-50 in favor of West Virginia. They could put up buckets against each other. Thamba with the foul.
And that's where those guards penetrate. If you're going to come over, somebody's got to get a body on Thamba because he's going to the offensive glass.
Stevenson looked good out of his hand.
It starts with the penetration from the guards. LJ Cryer gets himself to the rim. Nice job coming over to block a shot. But Thamba, Bridges, those guys are crashing the offensive glass. Again, over 12 offensive rebounds a game for this Baylor team. Best in the Big 12.
And another benefit, as you talked about, it helps the three-point shooters. They're shooting 78% as a team in Big 12 play from the free throw line. As we said, it all adds up to arguably the best offense in the Big 12. Matthews tried to lob it to Jimmy Bell, who wasn't ready for it. West Virginia turnover. Here's a lob, but the rim interfered. And Tony Padilla all over that one. He says it's West Virginia basketball. West Virginia coming in. Winners of 4 of their last 6, including 3 top 15 wins. And yet they sit at 4-8 in Big 12 play. A win tonight would be a huge quad 1 win, maybe their biggest win of the season. 3 on the shot clock. Toussaint And George, another rebound. That's his 5th board tonight. Bridges. Love, shot fake. Now Bridges for 3.
That's great offense. There was not a play call there. That's just penetrate and kick. Let that ball move, and you end up with then this year's Big 12. And it's interesting because every team has kind of had a dip. Like Kansas had their dip when they had those string of losses. Baylor had theirs earlier. I think Kansas State is going through theirs. Texas hasn't quite had theirs yet, and it'll be interesting to see down the stretch of this regular season how this all shakes out.
Baylor still has to face the Texas Longhorns one more time this season. Ooh. And a foul is called, and the crowd and Scott Drew can't believe it. That's the first on Langston Love.
Looked like he had a lot of leather to me. Yeah, I mean, they called it on Love, and he had all ball on that.
Okay, they switched the call. It's going to be on Jonathan Chamwa-Chachua, his first. And that's going to send Jimmy Bell to the line. Made 1 for 2 his first trip. Just a 61% free throw shooter. And Bell cans that one. Wednesday on ESPN2 in the app, Brandon Miller and newly minted #1 Alabama, highlighting our big-time SEC basketball matchup. They're taking on #10 Tennessee at Thompson Bowling Arena in Knoxville. This is the first game of a doubleheader that starts at 7 Eastern.
I'll tell you what, Alabama, I think they have the most impressive win this year on the road at Houston. That game over the weekend at Auburn was a hell of a win, a hell of a conference win. I mean, they have played a great schedule and are deserving of being #1.
And yet, George got fouled and will go to the line. Just to continue that conversation, Alabama goes on the road to Norman and gets absolutely pumped by the Oklahoma Sooners.
Well, and that's where I think the youth with Alabama comes out. Like, Brandon Miller is spectacular. But they do play some young dudes. And it's not a team, I mean, that'll be interesting with Alabama, Rich, in the tournament. A team that really hasn't done it there. Where we've seen a Houston get to a Final Four. We've seen teams in the Big 12 have success. That's the one, check mark with Alabama that they need to still mark down, is success to that degree in the NCAA tournament.
And speaking of youth with Brandon Miller, we have youth at the line in Keontae George. The second highest scoring freshman in the nation behind Miller, averaging 19 a game in Big 12 play. He's got his first 2 tonight. West Virginia started off hot, not so much lately. 0 for their last 5 now. Trail by 2 coming up on 7 minutes to go in the first half. Stevenson, no. Samick gets the offensive board. And here's Toussaint. The pass inside. Jimmy Bell traveled.
Yeah, he did travel, and it was a really nice pass.
So now the freshman George running the show. Adam Flagler still on the bench for Baylor. And he airmailed that one, almost got picked off. Instead, Bridges off the mark with the 3. And Chamwa-Chachua scrambling for the loose ball, but it's a possession arrow in favor of the Mountaineers.
Those 3 guards, Cryer, Flagler, and George, average 50 points combined. And I think what we have seen through the second part of the Big 12 schedule is teams saying, and West Virginia more so today, saying, those other guys are going to have to beat us. Jalen Bridges is going to have to make shots. Cole Thomlin's going to have to score consistently. We are not going to get beat, particularly off of that ball screen. It's one of the reasons I think teams are switching 1 through 5 as much as they are.
Third highest scoring trio in major conference basketball. Seth Wilson A guarded three. Tap back. West Virginia ball. Stevenson. Circus shot. No. And here come the Bears. Bridges works his way in. Got it blocked, but that's going to be the third foul on Patrick Seamnick.
I'll tell you what, Jalen Bridges has done a really nice job over the second half, I think, of this Big 12 schedule, Rich. First of all, he's their leading rebounder. He's averaging over 3 offensive rebounds a game in their last 6 games. He's kind of a glue guy. You know, he's like a connector between these guards and that front line. Made some big winning plays in that game at TCU over the weekend. Playing his best basketball of his career.
Absolutely. Largest lead of the game with those free throws by Bridges. But it's just 4. Jalen averaging over 11 points and 7.5 boards in Big 12 play. And Bridges runs Joe Toussaint out of bounds, and it's a West Virginia turnover.
He was asking for the flop. This is the new trash talk. If you think a guy's being soft, you just start making the flopping motion.
Keontae George, just 2 free throws in the scoring column, but he already has 5 rebounds and 3 assists. Nice look. Bridges pinned by Seamnick. And a foul as Toussaint goes hard to the hole.
Patrick Seamnick. A basket-saving play, and again, Bridges going reverse. What timing, what a block. Another one of those rotating cast of bigs that Huggy goes to.
And now Adam Flagler checks back in as Langston Love takes a seat with 5:19 to go in the first half. Baylor at 19-6 overall. A win gives them 20 wins for the 14th time in their last 16 seasons. Joe Toussaint at the line. Had 20 points the last time these two teams met. And he's got his first point tonight. Well, now that 3-headed monster back on the floor for the first time since the game started. Flagler, 10 in white, Pryor, 4, and Keontae George, 1.
And Flagler with the 2 fouls. So Scott Drew saying, I'm going to trust my redshirt senior.
The reigning Big 12 player of the week, Chamo Chachua, with the dunk off the nice feed. Ten to shoot. Johnson does. And the offensive rebound by Okonkwo, but good hands stolen away by George. He is stuffing the stat sheet tonight already. Bridges, corner, 3, no good. It goes out of bounds, and Mike Roberts says it's going to be West Virginia basketball.
How about Jonathan Chamo get him a shot, a really nice design on this play. He comes from the weak side there on a back screen. And how about the smile running down after the dunk, and then he immediately transitions to defense, starts talking to his team. What a teammate.
We've been around this team a lot the last few years. I don't know if there has ever been a player, not just in a Baylor uniform, any player I've ever seen who talks more on defense and communicates more than Everyday John. Toussaint misses the front end of the 1-and-1.
Those front ends in a game where you're going to need points, to miss that is a killer.
L.J. Cryer thought about the three. Chamwachachua. Cryer got it. Second three of the night for L.J. Cryer. Toussaint pulls up short. The rebound, Wagee gets fouled. Baylor leads the Big 12 in threes made with one another. And I think it's asking too much to say all three of them are going to go off for 18, 20, 22 points in a night. But if two of them do it, they're tough to beat.
Yeah, and how does the other guy handle it? You know what I mean? And that's where, for the freshman, I think he's handled games where he has scored a lot really well. He's handled games like their last game against TCU where he didn't score as much. He's handled it well. Those guys are happy for each other, and it's created a really nice dynamic.
Yeah. Keontae George coming off an effort at TCU where he only scored 4 points. Lowest point total of the season, but the most important thing, they came away with a road win in the Big 12 this past Saturday. Right now they lead by 5 on their home floor. .325 to go. Both teams in the bonus. As if it bears mentioning again, they shot a combined 69 free throws the last time they met. Baylor came away with an 83-78 win in Morgantown.
Well, and that's where you're not going to win that contest against Baylor. They have made more free throws than their opponents have attempted in conference play, Rich, and it's those ticky-tack ones where they accumulate points.
And Cryer, 87% from the stripe. Nails his first 2. He has 8. The Baylor lead is 7.
And Baylor's been in this zone for a number of possessions here, and it's stalled West Virginia's offense.
Big time. 0 for their last 10 from the field. Make it 0 for 11. Wagee got the offensive board. Now 3 minutes to go in the first half. Toussaint, nowhere to go. Seth Wilson got the 3, and that ends the drought for the Mountaineers.
Well, and it's been a steady diet of threes. That's really what the zone has done. It has made West Virginia a perimeter shooting team. It's nice to see one go down there.
That ends an 8.5-minute drought of game time for these Mountaineers. Chamwachachua working on Wagee. Look at that movement on the baseline. He hasn't just rehabbed in this last year. He has worked on his game, and it shows. Coming up on 2 minutes to go. Good hands by Bridges, out of bounds. West Virginia ball.
I mean, this is really good footwork. You know, it's the offense that you thought would kind of be late to come with him coming back. But how about the use of the pivot foot and then the shot over the top?
Five on the shot clock. Toussaint sees it, fires away. And the weak side rebound to Keontae George. Rebound number 7 on the night. 1 off his career high. Chamwachachua. That would have brought the house down. 90 seconds left in the first half. 6-point Baylor lead, number 9 in the country. Wagee, a line drive baseline, Jay.
Baylor coming back in a man-to-man off of the miss. And I don't think you can go steady diet of Wagee mid-range jump shots.
Probably wasn't in the Baylor scouting report. 1 minute to go. Again, the ball is singing for the Bears on offense. And Cryer pays it off with his third triple of the night. It's fun to watch.
It's how the game was intended to be played.
About a 16-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock. 7 to shoot for the Mountaineers. Wagee, travel.
This zone has been problematic, and because it looks like a 1-3-1, it's not. It's a 1-1-3. But because you have a tandem there, those two guards up top, that middle's harder to hit. And that middle's been very disruptive when West Virginia's tried to flash somebody there.
So now it's last shot time for the Bears. They're going to go to the locker room with a lead. The question is, by how many? 5 to go in the half. George. Good hands by Keedy Johnson, who gets it off and almost gets a prayer answered from about 90 feet away. Nevertheless, Baylor will go to the locker room with a 7-point lead, 36-29, and they are
step up again, which is kind of what they were using that energy offensively, and then they've got to figure out this zone. You know, that matchup zone, that Scott Drew matchup, I thought caused a lot of problems in the second half of that first half.
Baylor in white starts off with possession in the first half. Here's Keontae George, only 2 points for George, but 7 rebounds and 5 assists. Here's Cryer, leads all scorers with 11, and now he's got 14 after his fourth 3 of the night.
Threes kill you. You have got to get them off the three-point line. And Baylor stays in that zone.
Air ball from close range. Matthews puts it back. 6 for Matthews. Here comes Flagler. Baylor an unbelievable 110-10 over the course of the last 6 years when they have a lead at the half. And L.J. Cryer adds to that lead. 17 for Cryer. Stevenson inside. Mitchell, no. The follow, no. And a foul on the floor, says Carl Padilla. Tony Padilla.
This is why teams are switching 1 through 5 against Baylor. And Jimmy Bell, you've got to be up there. I mean, it's just a flare screen by Flo Thamba. And Bell just not ready. And that's where their actions, they run really good stuff. And then the improvisation comes off of that, Rich. But it starts with 3. These guards want to shoot threes.
The most three-pointers attempted, the most three-pointers made, and the best three-point percentage in the Big 12 Conference. Here's Emmett Matthews at the line, shooting 2. And he's off the mark. Well, this is the last full season that Baylor fans will be inside the Farrell Center. They're building a new state-of-the-art gym right across the Brazos River. Matthews 1 for 2. Cryer's 5 threes so far has tied his career high. And we're only a minute and a half into the second half. Here he is with the ball, 4 and white. Gives it up to Thamba. Good effort by Eric Stevenson, forcing the jump ball, and it'll be West Virginia basketball. Stolen away by George. And the dunk at the other end. And now they wave off the basket, and Scott Drew is saying he wants an intentional foul call.
Yeah, I mean, that's a clear path, and we don't have it. You know, Scott Drew would be asking for a flagrant one, but because that has become such a predominant part of the game of basketball, and it started in Europe, it was a European thing to do, to foul in transition like that. You know, a lot of folks in our business have said it, Rich. I think the rules committee's got to look at that.
Flagler, too strong. And Mitchell snares it for the Mountaineers. Mitchell had his shot partially blocked out there by Keontae George. And Cryer threw it away. Intended for Jalen Bridges. And that's a Baylor turnover, their 11th tonight.
You know, outside of how he played against TCU, Trey Mitchell, it's been a real struggle over their last 6 games. And you can kind of understand him struggling against Texas. He just was not right in that game the other day, but he has not been the same guy.
Lost the handle there. And Stevenson, too strong on the 3. Offensive rebound, Waggy. Now Mitchell for 3, got it.
He's too talented. Yeah, he's second on their team and made 3s. He can face up. He can play on the block. He's had a really good start to Big 12 play.
$14 points, 15 boards when these teams first met. You can make the case that was his best game as a Mountaineer. He's got 5 tonight after that 3-pointer.
And he's been banged up. He was sick for a while there. He's just too talented.
Yeah. He's only reached double digits in 1 of his last 5 Big 12 games. Bounce pass. Thamba! Flo Thamba, the winningest player in Baylor history in Big 12 play. If they win tonight, it'll be 54 wins in his career. Mitchell again.
And that's how you get inside that zone. You know, Mitchell could be a real weapon in there. There they posted him.
Subs getting ready to come in for both clubs. First TV timeout is approaching. 16-17 to go. Our NBA Wednesday doubleheader coming up. We had a good Eastern Conference matchup between the Cavs and the Sixers starting at 7:30. Then it's out to LA for LeBron and the Lakers hosting the Pelicans. Coverage tips with NBA Countdown at 7 on ESPN and the app. Here in Waco, a 7-point lead for the Baylor Bears, ranked 9th in the country. Winners of 9 of their last 10. Flagler in amongst the trees, out to Cryer. That's 3-pointer number 6 for L.J. Cryer. And 20 points on the night. Baylor's 5-0 when he reaches that mark. Johnson can't answer with the 3. And you get the feeling like West Virginia's in a little bit of a danger zone right now. Flagler uses the JTT screen. Now Love from the corner. Gets his own miss. Bridges, no foul call, off the window, and Jalen Bridges is hurt. Jalen Bridges landed awkwardly and immediately, like it wasn't anything much more serious than a cramping issue. He was up on his own power and helped to the locker room. We'll keep you updated once we see Jalen Bridges return back to the Baylor bench. His bucket gives the Baylor Bears their largest lead of the game, 12, with 15 minutes plus to go in this contest.
Be nice against this zone if Eric Stevenson could find some space and get hot.
Stevenson just 2 buckets in the first half. 10 on the shot clock. Here he is with the ball, 10 in blue. And they're going to say it was off Caleb Lohner's foot. It'll stay West Virginia basketball with just 6 on the shot clock. And now Wagi checks out and James Okonkwo checks in. Matthews has it. Rises up with 5 on the shot clock. No good. Jonathan Chachua grabs the rebound. Pryor, not that time. Just his second miss from beyond the arc tonight. Caleb Lohner. The one more. And Pryor pays it off again. 7 triples for L.J. Pryor.
And that was a 1-3-1 zone from West Virginia. Really patient, good identification from Baylor. And that man is hot.
And Matthews answers with a bucket from close range.
It's amazing the number of volume 3-point games Pryor's had this year. 5 or more threes, and he can really get it going.
He had 23 at TCU. He's got that same number tonight. Here's Flagler. He gets in the act. Second triple of the night for Adam Flagler, and he has 9.
It's going to be hard to play any sort of zone against a comfort zone, and a lot of these shots uncontested, Rich. And that's one thing with Baylor. You know, they're very dynamic off the bounce, but you have got to make them play off of the dribble and really get these guys off of that 3-point line, because those threes obviously accumulate.
L.J. Pryor now has 4 20-point games in his last 7. Turnover. Chachua comes away with it. Baylor 16 assists on 18 made field goals tonight. Here's Flagler. Dribble handoff to Pryor. Hottest hand in the gym. Chachua rises up. Can't knock it down. Samnick with the rebound. And they're going to get Jonathan Chachua with the foul. Looked like Keedy Johnson slipped.
Yeah, I mean, I think the use of the hands there probably baited the ref.
Stevenson created some space, but came up with nothing but air. Keedy Johnson, nice step through off the window. And a little bit of a late whistle from Tony Padilla as Keedy Johnson's going to be called for trying to swipe at that ball at the top. A reminder about our ACC Big 12 Super Tuesday doubleheader coming up tomorrow at 7 Eastern. Duke hosting Notre Dame at Cameron. Then number 5, Kansas takes on Oklahoma State. Should be a great night of hoops on ESPN and the app.
Tell you what, that was the best version of Kansas defense against Oklahoma they've played all year. I mean, they were lights out defensively in that game.
And remember, Oklahoma State gave Kansas fits at the Fog early in the season. Kansas won that game by just 2. So you know they're going to be excited, to say the least, at Gallagher-Iba. We've reached the under 12 media timeout. It's been all possibly putting themselves in a position for a top seed line.
It's crazy considering the fact that Baylor started conference play 0-3.
Right. Texas and Baylor will meet one more time. Texas beat Baylor earlier in the season, but they're going to be here on February 25th. There's another bucket for the Baylor Bears out of the timeout.
That face-up shot from Jonathan Tchamwa-Tchatchoua, you can tell he has drilled that a lot in the time he's been out.
Scoreless in his last game at TCU, 6 tonight for Everyday John. Keedy Johnson off the mark, over the backboard, tap back to Johnson. And Mitchell.
A nice job by Emmett Matthews keeping that alive, kind of volleyballed it back out to Johnson.
And just to put a bow on that Big 12 conversation, big picture, of course, this Saturday, the College Game Day crew is going to be in Lawrence for that Baylor-Kansas game. That one, huge implications. Tchamwa-Tchatchoua turnaround. 8 points, that's the most he's scored in a game all season. And Scott Drew exhorted the Bears faithful. Matthews a little push shot in the paint.
Starting to figure out this zone a little bit. This Baylor zone changed the game. They went to it in the first half, but a nice job by Emmett Matthews finding the middle.
Keontae George. Cryer. Make it 8 3-pointers for L.J. Cryer. We can go back to that kid with the mullet because that was...
No, we can't put him on TV again, Rich.
That was business in the front and party in the back.
He's going to have to live with that image. What are we doing to the youth?
Toussaint took a shot to the eye. No call, 10 minutes to go. And Keedy Johnson lost it off his leg. And they say it's going to be Baylor basketball. And now Bob Huggins has Jerry Pollard here. Here's Keontae George. No field goals tonight, but 7 rebounds and 7 assists. It's been the L.J. Cryer show offensively. Here he is with the ball. 26 points, courtesy of 8 3-pointers. Cryer double team. Oh, that's George who's double teamed. And a traveling violation on the freshman.
And that's what we saw in the first couple minutes of this game. You know, 6 early turnovers in this game from Baylor. And it was that aggressive defense, particularly out of the ball screens from West Virginia.
Bounce pass, Bell cashes in. Well, West Virginia's taken their fair share of haymakers by way of the 3-point shot from Baylor, but they're 4 from their last 4 from the field, and they trail by 15.
Well, it's hard to come, Rich. I mean, you just made the point that Baylor has 12 threes. West Virginia has 4. I mean, you're being outscored. It's plus 24, and I was not a math major at Army. It's just hard to overcome that type of differential from the 3-point line.
Nine minutes to go. Toussaint. Matthews, nice touch again off the window. Emmett Matthews leading the Mountaineers with 13.
He's starting to string some games together. Emmett Matthews, been a bright spot.
George harassed by Johnson at midcourt. And a foul on the floor. And that's going to go on Joe Toussaint.
You know, it's so tough if you're an opposing team. And if you're Bob Huggins, because all this movement that Baylor run, they run really good stuff. And so you have to guard that, and then you have to guard them off the dribble. And that's where the improvisation comes from after you've already moved the defense.
Good to see Jalen Bridges back on the floor and almost had a chance at a three-point play. Bridges had a check out a few moments ago after scoring a bucket and then grabbing his legs with bad cramps, went to the locker room. He's back, and now he's shooting free throws.
It's been so good in Big 12 play. All his offensive numbers are up. His rebounding numbers are up. There's a physicality to Jalen Bridges in Big 12 play that we really never saw when he was wearing a West Virginia uniform.
And even his three-point shooting is up. Never a strength of his, but he's shooting 33% from three in Big 12 play. He's in double digits tonight with 10.
Helps when you're playing alongside those three other guards.
Big time. $11 for Bridges. And that one's going to go on Flo Thamba.
I don't know what he's reacting for. I mean, it's a foul. You can't put two hands on a ball handler, even in the Big 12. You can't put two hands on a ball handler when they're driving to the basket, or ever.
Mitchell, look at the rebound. Offensively on the left-hand putback by Emmett Matthews. 15 for Matthews, 11 of them coming in the second half. And now L.J. Cryer set to come back in for Scott Drew's Baylor Bears. He's been the star of the show with 26 tonight. Flagler, got it. Tough two from Adam Flagler in double digits. Put him up there with some of the best tough shot makers in the league. Lots of contact, and they're going to call the foul on Baylor. That's going to go on Keontae George, his third. 7:05.
You know, Kansas, they've got to try to get one of those. But I mean, yeah, they passed the eye test, Rich. It just doesn't look always as good playing in this conference.
And at least on paper, easy for me to say, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, winnable games. But you also have Kansas and Kansas State. Never an off night in the Big 12. After tonight, it'll be 5 games remaining in the regular season. Here in Waco, Baylor's extended to a 15-point lead on the Mountaineers. And there's 3 on the shot clock with West Virginia inbounding at their own basket. Matthews, he's had the hot hand, but a guarded jump shot, and it's a shot clock violation. And so here comes that Baylor offense that we've told you about tonight, the most efficient offense in the nation. They have 18 assists on 22 made field goals. They're shooting 57% from beyond the arc in the game. We talk about eye test. I was interested. You asked Scott Drew point blank today, does this team have what it takes? I mean, he's climbed the mountaintop a couple of years ago.
They're certainly good enough offensively.
Yeah.
You know, I think defensively they're still trying to figure themselves out. They had that second level of their defense. It's not a great rim protection team. So I think that's the next step, and that's where Chamo Chachua becomes a real factor.
LJ looking for his first 30-burger of his career. He's got 26 so far tonight. Toussaint left alone. And he gets one to go. First field goal of the game for Joe Toussaint.
That's another guy that you thought earlier in the season might really establish himself, particularly offensively.
Here comes Toussaint leading the break. Keedy Johnson missed the bunny with the blow-by. Bridges out to Love. Got it! Langston Love's second triple of the night.
Threes.
Their season high is 15, and there's still 5.5 to go in this one. Well, we talked about West Virginia's upcoming schedule. Certainly not easy for these Baylor Bears. Saturday on the road in Lawrence against Kansas. Then they finish up the Sunflower two-step. They're on the road in Manhattan against K-State. Home against Texas. On the road in Stillwater, and they wrap up the regular season here at home against Iowa State, a team that beat them to start the regular season. And there's a big shot and a foul.
I mean, he certainly gets fouled. He kind of kicks that leg out. You know, this is a guy, like I was saying a moment ago, Rich, that you felt like was going to be a real factor offensively, and it just hasn't kind of panned out that way. Comes off their bench. He's really coach on the floor, really good defensively on the ball.
The kind of guard that Bob Huggins loves to coach. He's from the Bronx, has that New York toughness. And he completes the 4-point play. 9 points for Joe Toussaint. The lead is down to 11 for Baylor. No Keontae George on the floor. He just got back to the Baylor bench. Pryor slips and calls a timeout.
Conference play where you have the hunter and the hunted. You know, in a game like this, Baylor, the hunted team, and West Virginia trying to do some hunting, and it's going to be a fascinating finish to league play.
Bears with the ball, 5 minutes to go. Jalen Bridges can't finish, but Jonathan Chachua can, and they count the bucket.
I mean,
and he completes the three-point play. You know, one of the things the coaching staff was telling us with Jonathan Chachua coming back from that gruesome leg injury a year and a day ago, they said he doesn't have quite the same burst that we're used to seeing. And yet he still gets a two-handed rebound and a putback like we just saw. A remarkable athlete and a miraculous comeback. Well, now Keontae George back on the floor. coming off a 4-point effort at TCU. Only 2 points tonight for the second leading freshman scorer in the nation. But they haven't needed his offense because everybody else has chipped in. Look at that rebound by George. 4 players in double figures for Baylor, led by L.J. Cryer with 26. 5 on the shot clock. Flagler gets it off and gets it down.
That's just an outstanding individual offensive player going to work. And that's not an easy shot.
Tough shot maker. Number 10 and 1, Adam Flagler with the baker's dozen tonight. And Adam Flagler, one of the best assist to turnover guys in the Big 12. He has 6 times tonight as
threes made. Almost half of their shots on the season are threes. And as the game has worn on, you count the number of these that are open. I think that it has kind of taken the soul of West Virginia, the volume of threes that they have stared down today.
Time is of the essence for the Mountaineers. Out of the timeout, Emmett Matthews gets another bucket. He has 17. Here's George. Career high 8 rebounds. And that's his first field goal of the night. Keontae George with the 3 and a chance in a 4-point play.
I mean, they're up in the ante now on these threes. It clearly was a foul. And this dude just plays his game. You know, like you said, first field goal of the night. He's stuffed the stat sheet and other areas. What a talent.
Keontae George has the ball in his hands, and Bob Huggins wants to foul on every possession. We might be on triple-double alert for Keontae George. He has 5 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists. And he completes the 4-point play. Baylor's season high for threes in a game, 15 in the non-conference against Norfolk State. Loose ball. Johnson comes away with it. And he's trapped in the corner. 5 on the clock. Toussaint's going to have to launch. He does. It's short. A shot clock violation. And Everyday John and the rest of the Baylor Bears are fired up. The lead has ballooned to 18 for Baylor. Under 2.5 to go. Flagler gives it up. Bridges. Foul.
You know, nice job by Jonathan Chamochachua being a conveyor there at the foul line. He hits Flagler, and, you know, that's where they drive that closeout so quickly. And then the defense helps up and a nice drop off. Those bigs are so good at playing off of these guards.
And now with the lead 18 and just over 2 minutes to go, Scott Drew content to go to his bench, and the freshman Josh Ojonwuna will see his first time in quite some time. Hasn't played the last 2 games. And Adam Flagler will sit down, ostensibly for the rest of the night. Bridges out. Another yeoman-like night for him. 12 points for Jalen Bridges. 5 of 6 from the free throw line. And what do you do if you're Bob Huggins, coming off a 34-point defeat in Austin, finishing up this Texas two-step of a road trip? Another beatdown.
I think the shoot-around today was indicative of Coach Huggy trying to figure out who's with him.
George, 9 rebounds. Again, playing on Monday night gives Baylor an extra day of rest before they head to Allen Fieldhouse to take on the Kansas Jayhawks. That one will be preceded by College Game Day, who will be there to take in the pomp and circumstance.
In the game for your Bears, number 2,
And now Scott Drew clearing his bench. Number 5, Jordan Turner comes on, as does number 2, Jake Youngkin. And there's another look at Baylor's remaining schedule. 3 straight top 15 games. Then they're on the road at Oklahoma State, who's the hottest team in the Big 12, winners of 5 straight. Lohner. And that's Jamel King with the 3. Well, Baylor's going to get their 20th win on the season. That makes it 14 seasons in the last 16 years that Scott Drew and the Baylor Bears have reached the 20-win plateau. And maybe more importantly, they improved to 9-4 in league play. And if Texas Tech can hang on, and right now they're up 3 with a minute left, and take down the Texas Longhorns, then Baylor will be tied atop the Big 12 standings, headed to Lawrence to take on the Jayhawks.
Caleb Lohner still playing with the no layup rule here with 6 seconds left and a healthy 14-point lead.
Well, I'll ask you the same question you asked Scott Drew. Do you think that Baylor is Final Four good?
I do. They have to make shots. Their defense is not like that team a couple years ago. Now, there aren't many teams like that defensively, but that, you know, I think that's where Jonathan Chamuchacho becomes a major piece, is he makes them better defensively.
The Baylor Bears take down the West Virginia Mountaineers 79-67 the final score. They sweep West Virginia in the season series, and Scott Drew's Bears improved to